And by the way, Musk said, go ahead and make my day when it came to that tweet threatening that contracts would be terminated. So that's, another concern for investors. Where do you want to go here? There's a lot to break down.
I think the broader market is where we go first. Dan and everybody can talk about Tesla, but we were having this conversation before the show. What does this mean for the bond market? Is it bond bullish or bond negative? I will tell you, in terms of the U.S. dollar, I think it's absolutely dollar negative. So therefore, I have to think at some point it's broader market negative. Now, if the bond market rallies on this, that's probably what a lot of people want in the first place. But if you see a sell-off in the bond market and a subsequent weakness in the dollar, this is what we've seen before. It's not market friendly.
I mean, in terms of, if tariffs are delayed because of all the negotiations that are going on now, if tax is delayed, if all
that's dollar positive.
Feasible. Right.
That's all dollar positive. Guy's right. I mean, we've had these days where we've seen the dollar, we've seen bonds, we've seen stocks all go down the same day, and we've said, this is what happens in emerging markets. The political circus here is something that doesn't help, whether that's something that we'll see fall through. And I think the more important part of this is I do think that this has emboldened, and this is not a political show. No one cares about my politics. I'll just say that this stand-up actually could bring some folks on the GOP to at least be more bold to come forward and push back on a bill. Where does that put? What does that do for the bond market? What does that do for the dollar? I think it's bond positive. I ultimately think that if you derail a lot of this policy and you get in at least some sense that this president has a little less power, you're going to see a little more of a flight to quality. And it's so early here. But I do think that if you think about where this administration was very clear, they wanted lower interest rates I don't know how they were going to get there necessarily, but they definitely wanted a lower dollar, and they had gotten that. And we were actually, look, at 98, you've kind of broken some key levels that the dollar was holding up. Let's watch it.
You got the popcorn.
Oh, sorry. Wait, is it my turn?
It's what a show
Twitter right
it is.
Here. No, I mean, it's a clown show. I mean, let's be clear. And, we can go to tax, you can go to dollar this, you can go to rates or, debt ratings and stuff, whatever. At the end of the day, the conflicts of interest that Elon Musk has, it's not just here domestically. It's not just the fear of regulation. And it's not just the fact that he's the richest man in the world, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Think about where his manufacturing bases are. In China, in Shanghai, right? The cars that they make in Shanghai, which they're not selling a whole heck of a lot in China anymore, they go to Europe. We have all this tariff stuff going on. Think about the importance of Starlink in all of these sorts of situations, whether it's, with Ukraine and Russia. Think about the fact that Elon Musk last year had communications with President Putin, right? So if this is going to hell in a handbasket right here, and we've never seen anything like this, I think there are broader geopolitical implications of all this, and I do not think they should be discounted. At the end of the day, you look at these two men of this great amount of power, and you say to yourself, whose interest do they have in mind? Do they have our country's interest in mind or their own self-interest in mind? And I think that's what's really disappointing about this, because this is not going to end here and now, today. Tweet wars like this, that's one thing. But the other sorts of wars of influence, those things could go on for a while, and they chip away at this whole idea of American exceptionalism.
So, I mean, there's a lot. You could make a lot of different arguments. To me, what I think is that if this tax part of the bill is threatened, I mean, that has been a source of, I think, a lot of the rally in the last couple of months. Obviously, we had the tariff, pause, that too. But that is sort of an important underpinning of their plan, right? Make sure this tax plan is more permanent. So if that's threatened, that's one. You could also make the argument, though, that they're going to be able to get rid of a lot of pork, right? That maybe when they relook at this bill, that they know they got to get it done, and they won't. Maybe it'll be a different bill, which will be less
of a deficit. Karen using the pork term.
What?
I like that. Yeah. Karen's just the pork term.
Why not use the pork term? It's perfect.
It's
perfect.
Tons of pork. Yes.